Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is McKay Allen. I'm with Log My Calls. We're a call tracking and marketing analytics solution. We work with a lot of companies in the automotive space. We help to tell them which marketing channels are generating phone calls and where those phone calls are coming from, how well their website's performing essentially. And we're really excited today that Autoshop Solutions is joining us. Specifically, we're really excited that Danny Sanchez, the CEO and founder of Autoshop Solutions, is with us today. He's truly a marketing expert in the space. He was an Autoshop owner of 23 years and then launched a web design and marketing company in the 90s. He is an AMI certified instructor. He speaks all over the country and helps automotive businesses improve their web presence, improve their website, and get more leads and customers and revenue from their online sources. The other thing to note is that his presentations are well known in the industry for the quality of content. So we're really excited to have him today. A couple of house cleaning items, and then we'll turn the time over to Danny and take your questions. If you do have questions, and I hope you do, we will encourage you to write the questions into the little question bar on the GoToWebinar pane on the right-hand side of your screen there. Just write it where it says question. I'll see those, and then I'll read those to Danny at the conclusion of the webinar, and he'll address those. The other thing to note is this webinar is being recorded and will be available on logmycalls.com, and we'll also make it available to Danny and his team so they can distribute it as they see fit as well. But it will be available on logmycalls.com, so that'll be available this afternoon. And so with that, I do want to turn the time over to Danny. Danny, any things I forgot on your intro there? Any other comments you want to make before we get started?
Well, thank you very much for the great introduction. I sure appreciate it.
No, well, no problem. And thank you for doing it.
Thank you for having us here today. We're always happy to get some information out there and help shop owners and business owners be more successful.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Danny. We appreciate it. And again, thank you everybody for coming. And with that, Danny, go ahead.
Well, great. Well, thank you all very much. And for those of you, hopefully you are using Log My Calls for following up and seeing what the performance on your accounts are. And as we talk through the details today, hopefully you keep in mind that what you track and what you measure is what can be improved. So keep in mind as we talk through today and how you might be able to implement better uses of phone tracking technology to help you continue to improve your internet marketing. So keep that in mind as we go through today. The class we have today is a small excerpt of many of the classes that I do across the country, but it's very focused on a couple really important details that need to be part of your marketing regime when it comes to your internet marketing specifically. And as we're looking to be found, we're looking to be clicked on, we're basically looking to engage with people. And there's a process that needs to happen in order for that to occur. Many of us in the automotive space and internet marketing or direct mail marketing or yellow page marketing, whatever it's been over time, our industry is probably about one of the worst cases in looking for that silver bullet. We are all part of the shiny penny syndrome. And we often think that way when it comes to different parts of our marketing, that there's one component of it that's really going to make it work or make it fly, and then we really put the focus on that. And part of that comes from us as an industry really not having the time that it takes, in many cases, to really stretch our legs when it comes to different parts of marketing. But it definitely comes from years of yellow page marketing. It's where our industry's past comes from. Really, that was the largest part of our marketing. And that was a fire and forget type of program. Where you buy the ad one time for the year and you pretty much expect it to just go to work, and there's nothing, if it wasn't working, there was nothing you could do about it, so there's no point in paying attention to it. You could certainly gripe about writing the check each month, but there's nothing you can affect a change with. And that is where our past comes from in our industry and how we do marketing. And when it comes to internet marketing or other types of marketing that you're using to drive traffic to your business now, that could be no further from the truth when it comes to what you can do today. As a matter of fact, if you're doing the same thing you were a year or 2 years ago in internet marketing, that not only are you're probably not having some great results, but you're already out of date, because things change not just on a quarterly basis or on an annual basis, they change on a monthly basis, and keeping up is part of the task. So it's complex, and you need to stay in tune with it, and that's something we're not used to. So the first part in internet marketing is you have to be found. And when you start talking about having to be found, we're often talking about Search engine ranking, hopefully you've heard some of those terms before when you've talked to your web developer or looked at marketing. And that's basically showing up on the first page. And I think it can go without saying, but it's worth repeating, that if you're not on the first page of Google, you're really not having any good results about being found. Now, here's what people don't talk about when they talk about being on the first page of Google. Great that you're on the first page of Google, but for what term are you showing up for? So if you're showing up, if the name of your shop is Danny's Auto Repair, and you're showing up under Danny's Auto Repair, well, congratulations. The people who are already being referred to you are finding you, which is no help to you whatsoever. We really don't care about the people who have already been referred to you because they're already going to come to you. They just need to find the phone number or your address, and they're on their way down anyway. They're pre-sold. But the people who don't know you from anybody else, the guy who's just moved into the neighborhood, the mom who's got a broken car on the side of the road and hasn't had a place to go yet, but knows they don't want to go back to wherever they've been going, they're the people that we're interested in reaching out to. And they don't type in your name. They type in different key phrases. They may type in auto repair or broken car or water pump leaking or timing belt broken. They'll type in all sorts of different phrases, but that's where traffic comes from. And what we often forget is that there's more than one or two phrases that drives traffic. As a matter of fact, in our industry, there's over 150 up to 175 phrases that are active at any given time across the country that are bringing traffic to auto repair sites. So when you start talking about getting traffic, there's two different ways of getting it. There's what's called search engine optimization, which is often called SEO, is a term that hopefully many of you have heard before. And there's also what's called search engine marketing, or SEM, which is driving traffic using paid search. Search engine optimization is the method of drawing organic traffic that comes from Google when you type something in, and then you show up on the first page, and you clicked on, and away you go. Search engine marketing is targeted marketing, not only in a very specific geographic zone of where you want to pull traffic from, but it's also very targeted in the keywords that you want to go after. So for an example, a timing belt replacement might be a really good keyword in some places, but the words just timing belt may draw a lot of DIYers who are looking for information on how to change the timing belt, but not necessarily bring you the type of clients that you're looking for. And that's something that can be targeted using paid search. And I'll cover that just a little bit more. We had limited time today, but I'll try and cover it just a little bit more. So those are the two ways of driving traffic. Now, oftentimes get tripped up as people say that search engine marketing is paid, so that costs money, and search engine optimization is free. Well, that's not really the case, because if you're going off of organic results or the SEO, you've got to pay somebody to build you a really good website that's going to rank you for the keywords that make sense. Somebody's got to do that legwork. And for many companies who are in very competitive areas, they need to continue paying somebody for ongoing search engine optimization to continue to stay on the front page for the keywords that actually drive traffic. And that's probably the best point that I can make as we move forward, is that there are keywords that drive traffic and keywords that absolutely don't bring quality visitors. And the difference in knowing the two is the difference of the people that you choose to do your marketing, that they have done the research on what are quality keywords to bring in and what are keywords that, yeah, it looks good on the piece of paper that you're ranking the first page for, but the fact is nobody's finding you in that way. And those are things that you need to pay close attention to. So this is what we hear very often from people that we talk to when we're out traveling the country and going to conventions and shows and my speaking engagements. What I often hear is you know, one is, I don't need to get any new customers. I'm wasting my money. And often we hear that with people who are trying AdWords or people who have tried some different kinds of websites, and they take a look at what they're spending and they see what they're getting in their return on investment. And there's two different things that are happening. One is that they are clearly not tracking their phone calls coming in, so they have no idea if there is any ROI in the first place. But it's really easy to discard and say, you know, I'm not noticing that the phone's ringing or any new customers, but they're not tracking and they're not listening to their calls. So they may be getting the phone call traffic that could bring in that extra car a day that would make a difference for most shop owners, really putting profit on the bottom line. But what they're not doing is monitoring and measuring how many phone calls are coming in, and the quality of the calls and the quality of the service advisors in managing that call and turning them into customers. So that's very common, where people are not paying attention to the details, and also lead sourcing the people on the phone to find out what marketing sources are actually working. The other issues that we run across with people saying that I'm wasting my money is oftentimes people are using tools with broken pieces of the tool along the way. An example is having a 6 or 7, even 8-year-old website and trying to drive traffic to a site that's way outdated. And even if you're doing a great job of SEO and SEM and paid search, driving traffic, if the site doesn't have the right sales messages on it, if it's not built in the way that people don't arrive there and say, wow, these guys look impressive, I really want to go there, and they immediately pick up the phone, well, that's a problem. We're failing in the sales process, and although we may be driving traffic, we're failing to get the conversion, and that's an important part of the tools that need to happen also. So there's a number of different places where you could certainly waste your money in marketing, but typically we see is there's a failure somewhere along the way to either track it or to use the tools properly. Another one we hear quite often is I tried using AdWords and it cost me thousands of dollars, it's too expensive, it wasn't driving any traffic, and that of course plays the same into using the wrong tools. And anything can be used and abused, and if it's done the wrong way, it's certainly not going to be justifiable in the end when it comes to return on investment. The AdWords, and hopefully you all have heard of pay-per-click or AdWords. It's also the SEM component or search engine marketing. It is extremely complex, and there's a number of things that have to happen for it to work properly. It isn't just a turn on and run type of program. There's a lot of quality score issues that Google takes into account. There's all sorts of bidding processes and competitors and keyword analysis that goes into it, and it isn't a fire and forget. You don't turn it on one time and then let it go, and then 6 months later just reap the results. It doesn't work that way. So it's typically not something that the usual shop owner has time to do. It's something that's typically outsourced. And there are some companies that charge way too much money for the scale of what our industry uses, so it can be too expensive. I agree, but in scale, it is probably the most powerful tool for driving traffic and is actually the most affordable when done correctly. So that's often what we hear too. And the other one we hear too is, I don't need SEO or search engine optimization. I get plenty of traffic. And we look at the analytics on, or the traffic that comes from different websites. The fact is that you don't know what's bad until you get something by comparison. And there's business owners and shop owners out there that think that 75 to 125 hits or clicks a month is pretty good. Well, the fact is that even in some of the most depressed area, that's a very low amount of traffic and not enough really to make the phone ring often enough. And that's where you need to get somebody who has some experience in some different geographic areas to help you see what kind of traffic is the potential. That's also a problem with not knowing what traffic potential there are and working with some older websites. That's something you need to take a look at. That they just don't rank as well with the search engines, and that also creates problems for total traffic. If I don't say it again, I'll make sure I say it at least one time. The internet marketing is a numbers game, much like everything else. You need exposure to more people to make the phone ring more often. There's a direct correlation between how many clicks you get and how many phone calls you get. Right now we're fortunate enough that we're delivering about 1 phone call for every 5 clicks that come to a website. Now, not every company can do that the same. It's a process of sales and getting people to convert in that way. But there is a correlation between the amount of phone calls and the amount of clicks. The more traffic is good, but actually the more high quality traffic is excellent. So those are the kind of things that you can pay attention to when it comes to your website and your traffic. So balance is the key to getting a good program off the ground and keeping it consistent. So the first part is you want to be using search engine optimization, or SEO, for your high traffic keywords. Now your high traffic keywords are going to be phrases like auto repair in your city name. So we're just outside of Raleigh in Apex, North Carolina. So I'll use Raleigh for an example. If I have a shop or general repair shop or a collision shop in Raleigh, then my main phrase that I want to make sure I rank for organically with SEO is going to be auto repair Raleigh or collision repair Raleigh, and with without the NC or North Carolina behind it. That's going to drive a large portion of my traffic alone, because that's a very typical keyword that most people will look for when they're trying to choose either an auto repair shop or a collision shop, or even tires for that example. Same thing. It's those people know they put in the city name with the type of repair. Google's going to deliver up what they're looking for. Now that geographically changes in different places. Auto repair is not always the key phrase, but it's definitely one of the more popular. If you're up in the New England area, then auto repair is not the phrase. If you're in and around New England or the Boston area, then it's car repair. And actually, they don't pronounce it car; it's car repair. It's C-A-A-A-R-R is how it's actually spelled. And they don't type in auto repair; they type in car repair. And it's different geographically in different places. So those are things to adjust for your own zones and your own areas of what's most popular. You're going to end up with somewhere between 3 to 7, maybe 8 organic keywords that will drive nearly 50% of your total traffic. So you have a few keywords that are going to drive a bulk of your regular traffic, and those are the ones that you need to focus on just on the organic. Now the rest of the keywords is for the rest. Remember I mentioned just earlier there's 150 to 175 keywords at any given time that are driving traffic. Well, that's what paid search is for, in driving the rest of the high quality keywords, and those you're not going to get organically. You cannot build a website big enough to rank just the term timing belt replacement. If you go to your Google page right now and you open up a new tab and you type in timing belt replacement, you are going to see a lot of national results for that kind of repair, because there's no name behind it for the city. In other words, you're not attaching Raleigh. People don't always type in Raleigh when they're looking for either a brake repair or check engine light on. They don't always attach that to it. Well, Google doesn't know. They're not looking for somebody local. They have an idea that brake repair means something to the effect of the car, and that's probably going to need to be somewhere local, but it's not 100%. So you can use AdWords, paid search, to go after that traffic, and Google will see that you want to deliver your ad when somebody types in check engine light on, and then deliver an ad that's effectively to somebody who's could be within a 5 to 10 mile radius. It's something you get to identify. A 5 to 10 mile radius around you. It's a highly qualified ad because it's somebody in your neighborhood, somebody that could drive to your business or be towed certainly, and they are looking for repair that you do. And it's the most direct way of getting somebody looking for looking for a new place to take their car to, and it's very effective. The SEO is a little bit different. That it's not to say that it's any less of a quality click. However, you can get brought up in a lot of different areas, and you'll see in your analytics how wide organic traffic will come from, whereas the search engine marketing or paid search only comes from that 5 to 10 mile bubble that you draw from, and it can be designated. So it could be argued that paid search is actually a little bit higher quality than organic. But once again, do not get the silver bullet syndrome. We're not suggesting that one is better than the other. As a matter of fact, both of them are equally important. And the reason why is you cannot do paid search or search engine marketing to drive traffic without having high quality SEO. One goes hand in hand with the other, and this is where most companies fail to put the pieces together and are not able to draw the high quality traffic and keeping the cost low. And the other piece of it is that bouncing out is a high quality website, and this is what makes all this work. The website is the anchor to all the other tools to drive traffic. Without a higher quality website, something that's going to rank in the area, something that's been made to compete in your marketplace, well then the rest of this will suffer, and you'll not drive the kind of traffic that's going to make the phone ring in the first place. The website is more than just a piece of the puzzle for drawing traffic. It's actually a sales tool. So when people arrive, the sales process is actually starting. That's your first impression. It used to be, we talked about first impression, years ago. We talked about the first impression. We were talking about the experience of people walking in the office. We were talking first impression, 15, 16 years ago. We were still talking about just taking the girly calendars off the walls and having a first impression of, not having a Matco or Snap-on calendar with girls in bikinis and trying to make ourselves just a little bit more professional. We were talking about before just cleaning the floors and keeping the counters clean, and moving some of the components that were in our office to a more professional format. And that was our first impression 15 years ago. Well, now the first impression is no longer in the office. That's your second and third impression by this point. That people are looking for you online, and that's not. And your website is part of your first impressions, Now your Facebook profile, your social media marketing is part of your first impression. And not to say that your reviews are any less important, but those are being found also. Those are all part of the online experience, and you're already 3-4 impressions deep by the time that they arrive on your front porch. But you also have that first phone call, which is drastically important, and another reason why it's so critical to track them in the first place. The phone call is everything on the conversion, so you need to be paying close attention to it, of course. So just a couple of quick notes when it comes to AdWords. So paid search ads are like a poke in the arm. They're meant to get people's attention. When it shows up on the first page of Google and your ads show up, everything on the first page of Google is kind of like it's a sign to say, hey, click me, or let me get your attention, and we're the place that you want to call. The first page of Google is not a conversion point. Once you're there, that's just the beginning process of actually engaging with somebody in the process of a conversion or the process of the sale beginning. So the first page of Google, there is an experience that we want them to have in seeing our shop on that page. And by the way, there's an opportunity not just to be there once, not twice, but there's an opportunity to be on that first page as many as 3 times and sometimes more. And the more often you're on that first page, the better chances you have of being clicked. And that is through the pay-per-click or search engine marketing, organic, and also through Google Local through the business listings. So the more often that you're there, the better chances that you're going to get get opportunity to convert them into a customer. Secondly, if you want more conversions, you need to work on the rest of the experience beyond the click, and that's where I am talking about your website, your online presence, even down to the pictures that you use and choose, the way you design the website, the flow of it, where you take the information, what you include for your About Us information, which is, by the way, one of the highest clicked on pages on most everyone's website. People want to know who you are, what you're about, and then they usually go to the services page to verify that you offer the kind of services that they're looking for, and those are the most common pages. So you don't have to create pages and pages of content in order to have a very effective website, we found as well. So let's talk a little bit about AdWords and talk a little bit about why it's not something that you can just turn on and run away with. So the quality score is what Google uses to determine how well your account can perform based on the keywords that you're looking for. So let's use our timing belt replacement keywords as we used before, just for an example. And let's say you're starting up a brand new account that you have not used AdWords in the past. So Google is going to use a number of factors in order to determine how to place you with that keyword and also what it's going to cost you. And here's an example I'll give you, and then we'll work through the list here very quickly. So you may choose to bid $2 for that keyword, that you're willing to pay up to $2 for a high-quality click to bring somebody to your website for the keywords timing belt replacement. You may have a competitor that's a couple miles away, a friendly competitor, and he's willing to pay $2.20 for that click. In a way, this is a little like eBay. You're bidding, but it's not a straight pass-through. It's not black and white. So you're willing to bid $2 for that click. He's willing to bid $2.20. You have just rebuilt your website, and it is a high-quality website with a lot of SEO, very well built. Google loves you for all the tools that you've placed on it, so you're in really good shape. And he, on the other hand, has a 6-year-old website that's very outdated. He hasn't done any work to it. He's really kind of let it go. But you're both going after the same keyword using pay-per-click or SEM. Well, the fact is that you will likely win the bid to be over him. He may show up, but he'll likely be below you, and you will pay less money for it than what he's even willing to pay. The fact is that if you both get clicked on at the same time, that he will pay more than you. And this is the way Google levels the playing field for people who would do a better job than others. It's actually possible to pay less than a competitor if you're doing a better job with building your website and doing your other tools around your website in a way that favors Google. So Google looks at, number one, the historical click-through rate, meaning what people typically will click through on a type of keyword. So they're looking at the long-term click-through rate on any given keyword. They have a database with millions of different keywords that they use to judge how yours should go through and what people's click behavior on. They also use your account history. Now, if you got a brand new account as an example, then what they actually do is they actually use a cumulative score of your competitors around you to judge the keyword activity until you have enough account history. So the people around you actually have an effect on your account until Google gets enough history with your account, which is another good reason that when you start an account, it's good to keep it moving because Google's using your account history as far as to judge how to run your account. The third one here, your historical click-through rate of the displayed URL. So in other words, your displayed URL is your website domain name, and Google is judging you by the level of activity and also your success rate in getting people through to your website. So I said before, this is kind of like a sale-in process. Well, that's what this is. As you go through with Google, you're actually trying to get the trying to get the click-through rate as high as you can and consistently, so that Google will see you as a viable source regularly and will help improve your quality score, and then you'll get displayed more often, you get displayed higher, and that creates more click-throughs. Google's also rating the quality of your landing page. Most of the time that's your home page, but they are judging the quality of your landing page or your home page and determining, do these people really have a foothold in the type of services that they're offering? So if it's a timing belt, do you actually do auto repair? Do you have enough content on your website to support that you're a professional at this? So those are parts of the determining quality score. They're also looking at the relevance of the keywords in the ad group as part of the AdWord account. They're looking at the relevance of your keyword and the matched ad that goes with it. So the ads that actually display and people pick, they're looking at the comparison and saying, is this something that people will typically click through with? Is it relevant? And just by the way, everything with Google is all about relevancy. And then they look at your account's performance in a geographic region. So they will compare your account performance to how other people do around you and see if you're doing a good job or not. And the better job you do, the better your quality score is, and the better it continues to get. So it's not hard to kind of read through the lines with Google's rules with how AdWords work. It's really all quality driven. The better you work it, the more you try, the more Google rewards you with not only lower costs, but they also reward you with better activity and higher ranking, and that of course ends up driving more traffic. So it's it can either be a spiral up to do better and better all the time, or it could be a spiral down where the cost just absolutely gets out of control and the performance keeps on going down. But all the pieces got to work together. So here's just an example. Your website is the anchor to everything, and nothing works correctly with a bad website. It's the start of everything that moves forward in driving traffic. So the first effect is on paid search is you're going to pay a higher click cost. You're going to have a lower ad position, which the lower ad position right there is starting to drop in traffic. Just to talk about positions on the page and what is good and what's not good, really the top 5 really is a good goal for everybody to have. Top 3 is even better, but you do not have to be the number 1. We often get clients calling, and their goal is they say, I want to crush the competition. I want to be number 1 across the board on everything. Well, it's nice for the ego to be number 1, but the fact is, and the data supports this, is that number 1 doesn't always get more clicks than numbers 2 and 3. As a matter of fact, 1 out of every 3 clicks will definitely not be on number 1, and sometimes as much as 50% will not go to the top position. And that's just a very simple click behavior from people, and it's about the underdog. Most people will not click the number 1 position thinking that he's spent the most, and if he's spent the most to be there, well then he must be the most expensive. And there is an audience out there that pretty much treats their click behavior, they treat their click behavior in that way, so they will never click on the number 1 position. So top 5 is great. Top 3 is a great goal. Number 1, you don't have to do. You can be consistently number 2 through 5 and get fantastic traffic. The reality is you just want to make sure that you're showing up on the first page, and you're likely to get more traffic. the amount of people who click the second page is a tiny little decimal number. As a matter of fact, I'm convinced the only reason why there's any statistics for people clicking on the second page is because it's shop owners going back and looking how many pages back they really are, and trying to click the second, third, and fourth pages just to see and try and find themselves. Otherwise, most people will not even click the second page. They'll go back. If they didn't find what they were looking for the first time, they'll actually go back in and type in a new search and put something new into Google rather than trying to click the next page. They'll search for something new to get better results, which is very funny that people actually, that's the actual behavior. If Google didn't get it right the first time, then they're thinking, well, I put in the wrong search, and try again, which is very funny. The effect on SEO, a poor website also, you're going to have. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the Google keyword penalty. If you're looking for if you're looking to rank for different words of a poor website, you can actually end up with a penalty from Google for not having the right keywords or not the right content on the website, and end up with a penalty with words that they will not let you even try and bid to show up. You could just be penalized completely out altogether. So the effect on SEO with a bad website is definitely lower search engine ranking, which is going to affect traffic, which is the key to all this. You're going to get a penalty from the search engines, and you're going to end up with poor visibility, which all in all ends up meaning that you're getting less traffic, you're getting less phone calls and less new customers. And then the last one is the effect on engagement. So a poor website, even if you're lucky enough to be able to drive traffic, acceptable volumes of traffic, then the fact is, with a poor website, you're doing a bad job with branding. You're having a poor time with call to action. You're lowering your credibility in the community by not representing yourself in a professional way, and you have a poor user experience. So the actual conversion rates are affected. So great, you got great traffic. If you're lucky enough to do that on an older website, well, fantastic. But your actual conversion rate is still going to be very, very low, and you're still missing out on a lot of opportunity. And the reality is when the phone gets picked up, with that first phone call gets started, you're already being judged by your online presence, and their expectation of how you're going to pick up that phone is set in place from the website right from the get-go. So the better experience they have from the beginning, and then they have an expectation that the experience is going to get better as they pick up the phone. The more you continue to provide that excellent service, the more that you're perpetuating their initial professional view of your company, and that, of course, improves your brand, improves your position in the community, and that's where you are getting more and more likely for them to not only have a good experience the first time they come in, but you're also looking at that experience in a better possibility that they're going to refer their friends. So it's a perpetuating motion of moving people forward, bringing them in as long-term customers, and then getting a chance to service their friends too. And this is part of the beginning part of that sales process. So just for trends in search engine optimization in 2013, we've been kind of passing along this information really since the beginning of the year, and it's still very consistent even coming into May. Mobile search is huge, and it continues to grow. Now, when we say huge, it went from near 0% just a couple years ago now to about 11%, and that is huge because that's a huge amount of growth, and also a large amount of people who have got mobile phones, but not just mobile phones, but smartphones in their hands that are using them on a regular basis. Not every website is mobile ready. It has to be something that's designed specifically to be in mobile, and just because you have a mobile website doesn't mean you're actually being found. There are ways to market a mobile website separate from the other websites. So those are things that you need to be talking to your web developer about and making sure that you have. But if your website, if you do not have a mobile-ready website, then it's something you need to be taking a look at immediately. It's not something to be left behind anymore. It should be pretty much standard practice now. Google Plus is also an SEO trend for 2013. Google Plus is Google's social media tools. It's unique to Facebook and Twitter. It's not the same at all. And although that there are a lot of people signed up for it, the fact is that not as many people have started using it just yet. But what better way to get people on it and making good use of it and start trying it than to add a little bit of SEO to the algorithm, and meaning that if your business is using Google Plus, there's a good chance you're going to get a little bit of an SEO or an optimization boost from Google for being a good player inside their platform. No surprise there. So being active in Google Plus for you and your business can be an SEO boost. Also, what's called title tags and headings are something you need to talk to your developer about. Google's put a little bit more weight into those. The reason why is the title tags and the headings are often what you see displayed on that first page of Google. It's usually right under your website, under the name. That's what shows. Google wants developers to make those better for the users to identify where to click. So what better way to make people improve the way that those look, but by adding a little bit of SEO juice to it, and then everybody will start paying attention to them, update them, modify them, and then you have a better user experience. So Google knows what they're doing. When they want to get all the developers out there to get on board and help improve something, they can just put a little bit of SEO juice applied to it, and it'll get paid attention to. No big bang, like nothing new with this quality content. It's something that's been getting preached for quite some time. But the difference now with quality content is it has much more weight than it used to, and it's actually now one of the main components for SEO, and that has changed from 2012. Google is looking for not just quality content, but they're looking for human-created content. So anyone who's using any kind of system right now that has standard content being created that's being added to the website, so in standard content meaning that's not unique to you, it's being generated and it's also being used on other websites, that is all duplicate content and can be a huge penalty from Google. Google wants to see each website, every business, have its own content uniquely created and not existing on anybody else's website. And this is where we talk about marketing websites. We're not talking about e-commerce website where somebody sells the same rim and tire. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about marketing websites in different unique areas in different geographic zones, and Google wants to see unique content across every single one of those. So reusing content from whatever source is now really, really bad in the way that Google sees Google sees your results. And the last thing is conversion optimized. And conversions for us is the phone call. For our industry, we're looking for them to find us on the website, and we're looking for them to convert into a phone call. And there is the Google can tell on the page if the phone number is in the right place, if there's a call to action with it. We're also looking for people to make appointments online. That's another conversion that Google's taking a look at, and we want to make sure that those are in easy places. And Google can actually look at your website and see that it's optimized to drive traffic in that way. And that pretty much leads us into the conversion process. So the conversion process happens once people arrive to the website. And I just have an example of a website just for something to take a look at, not trying to promote our products. But this is a website we've been maintaining for a while, a company in Chapel Hill. The phone number is very easy to find. You're actually not seeing the rest of the page below here. I couldn't fit the whole thing, but just below this part of the screen, there is a place for people to make an appointment. There's also an appointment page on the appointment button on the top. There's also a call to action on the right-hand side on the bottom that says write a review. That also is another call to action. There's places that people can interact with the website and engage, and that's all part of what Google's looking for too. Google's also measuring how people interact with your website and seeing what kind of activity that you're getting. And this is something that we also track using heat map studies to make sure that the website is effective. And this is what's called a confetti. And all the little dots that you're seeing on the screen is everywhere people have been clicking on the page. And we only track for windows of time, so I think this is about a 15-day period of time. And we're looking to see where people are looking on the page, where people click, and that helps us measure engagement and how people are interacting with the website. So this is something that most web developers can do, not everybody does, and actually looking to make sure that the website is engaging and keeping people there and that they're clicking through in the places that they're supposed to be clicking through, which is very important. Last couple things, and we'll get to your questions. Mobile solutions, just so you know, 75% of the customers prefer a mobile-friendly site. That doesn't mean that your website looks the same on your mobile page that it does on your browser. What it means is what you see here is actually a mobile site, not just your website. And it's easier to use, larger buttons, much bigger text, and it's pretty much got just a button that you can click on, find the navigation, or click on and find the button. A note with this is that people are not looking for apps to download. Now, it's different when you have customers. If you want to use something as a loyalty reward and you want to have an app, great. Give it a try. I have not seen anybody have any success at that just yet, but I'm willing to keep my mind open. But when this is something that you could be made, that there's no download required, they go to your website and it brings this up automatically. It's self-launching, doesn't require download, and it works all by itself. So there's what's called a app, and then there's web-ready mobile. Web-ready mobile is what you need to be looking into as you grow into your websites and mobile. And that's the conclusion of what I got for you today. I'm trying to fit in as much as I can in a short period of time. Hopefully that was very helpful, gives you some great information, but I'll be glad to take any questions that you have now.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. Really appreciate it. Good information. And we do have a couple of questions. First thing, and we'll get to as many of these as we can, so make sure you write them in the question bar, and we'll address them to Danny. First question is, in the industry, what's the biggest issue you see? Is it a website that's maybe doesn't look good enough? Is it a lack of focus on SEO? Is it a lack of PPC spend? What does the industry need to improve, if you can paint with a broad brush for a moment?
So for the most part, what we see is that the industry is dropping the ball from the get-go and not understanding that the website is the anchor to everything else. There are people who are trying PPC and trying to drive traffic. The problem is that you're using an older website to do it, and it's designed to fail from the beginning. The days of having a $20 a month website and driving traffic to it are kind of over. You can have a $20 a month website. There's no problem with that. Just the expectation needs to be there that it's not going to work in a competitive environment. That's not going to happen. So really, the failure that we've seen in the industry is really from an education point that a website is not a website. There's a difference between one that's been built to perform and one that's been built to be a good placeholder and get you by for a while. That you're not going to be able to I'll describe it a little bit different way, McKay. That maybe makes a little bit more sense. We laugh about this all the time as an industry. We have a customer come in that needs front brakes. The rotors are torn up and the calipers are barely dangling left on the car. Put it up in the air, show the customer what's needed, and then they'd say, well, you know what, my brother-in-law, my nephew is a mechanic. I'll just have him fix it. Well, we still hear the same thing when it comes to websites. That my nephew, my brother-in-law, my son, he's a computer nerd. He'll build me a website. There's a difference. It's no longer are the days of having somebody who doesn't keep up with the internet on a daily basis, doesn't live in the space. Same thing as being a mechanic. If you're not a professional, you can't possibly do this at the same level that's required to be competitive, and that's what we run across.
That's a great analogy. That's a very good analogy. The other question that I think people are having is, as you talk to people in the industry, are you finding? I guess the big question is, what is a good budget for something like this? If someone says, "Hey, I want to design my site, or I want to do some PPC spend," how much money should they spend on this stuff? How much should a one-location repair shop spend realistically? How much is too much? How much is not enough?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I can definitely give you some numbers that make some sense. A shop that's in let's just say a fair metro area, a reasonable-sized city, they should be expecting to spend anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 to $4,000 for a website build, up front, depending on the competitive level of the people around them, and they should be expecting to spend with pay-per-click spend mixed in with maybe SEO. Anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month, and understand that out of that, there's a pretty good probability, based on the numbers that we've seen, that will generate at least a car a day. So when you start talking about the return on investment, that's a small amount compared to what gets drawn in. And considering the internet typically draws in the best spending client, and the average repair order somewhere between $300 and $500. It doesn't take very many to pay for a $500 to $1,000 budget. The average amongst our clients, just to give you a real number, the average is somewhere around $650 a month. So we got quite a few people below that and quite a few people above that, but that should give you some good ideas.
That's great. And just to piggyback off what you said, if I can make a comment, the thing that we're seeing too with call data is that the majority of calls coming into automotive businesses are now from the web. They're no longer from different local ads or traditional ad spaces. The majority of calls businesses get come from the web in one form or another. And so I think you're right. I think you have to have that anchor, as you say, before you have anything else. That's key.
I agree. Yep, it's a place where all the traffic needs to be driven to, and then also even for your referral customers. We keep telling shop owners that don't miss the boat in thinking that your referral customers don't need to see a very professional presence online too. That continues to perpetuate what they've already heard about you. I refer you, McKay, to a shop that I think does a great job. They say, McKay, hey, don't take your car there for a brake job. You know what? Go here. They do a fantastic job. You're not going to call them without going to look at their online presence first. There's a good chance you're going to at least see their website, and you might see their Facebook profile too, just to see what kind of comments have been left behind there, or what kind of activity they have. And based on those results of what you see on their website, you're already thinking whether or not you're going to really trust these guys. Even if I had a really strong referral, you might not call them based on what you see online.
That's right. That's exactly right. What are you seeing in terms of mobile search increasing? Because Google says specifically mobile search, whether it's this year or next year, is going to actually outpace, desktop, laptop search. Are you seeing more and more traffic going to the mobile sites you create?
We are. That number's been exponential, especially over what we call the internet a short period of time. A month is forever on the internet. So we see numbers increasing. We're seeing numbers increasing on a monthly basis, and that number's been continuing to jump up. I don't know if they're going to. The way the numbers are right now, I don't know if it'll outpace by next year, but certainly within the next couple of years, I could see that definitely happen. The main thing is that the mobile right now, the main thing is to make sure you have a great mobile experience and being in position. It's kind of like what everybody was saying 3 to 5 years ago, that you can't live without a website. Right now, you cannot have no mobile presence. To be without a mobile presence right now is a huge mistake, because it's just the same as not having a website 3 and 5 years ago. Google is judging you by how you're onboarding now with mobile, and that will affect your SEO and other tools 2 years from now. It's kind of like being first on. You got to be one of the first on to get it. The process in the way people are getting the people who are in areas that do have either vacation traffic or near highways, broken down areas, they are without a doubt benefiting more from mobile than shops who are in more areas that have less pass-through traffic. So right now the benefit is more for pass-through breakdowns, but the numbers are not so low in areas that don't have that kind of traffic to not support at least getting started. But if you're in a town where you have any kind of tourism, you're in a town where people have passed through your area, then mobile is huge.
And what sort of actions are you seeing when someone comes to a mobile page? My guess is it would be predominantly phone calls based on the device they have, obviously.
Correct. There's a couple ways to get traffic from mobile. There's the organic, and of course you can use pay-per-click and also paid search to drive traffic with mobile too. So you can show up, high on the results for a mobile page. But the absolute conversion is just a straight phone call. Most of them don't go. Most of them don't even go to the main website. They see the mobile website. They see the place where they can just click, and they're just looking for somebody close. Google does take into its algorithm in mobile the proximity of who they're close to calling. So that is part of the ranking and your how close you are to where they're physically standing at the time. So the closer you are, the better chance you have of being on the top. But it's the phone call. They're just calling to convert, and that's why you have to be really good on the phones. That's your opportunity to convert.
Great. Great. Doesn't look like we have. Let's see here. If we've got. Oh yeah. Here's another question that I think is useful. In terms of you mentioned a few trends. If someone says, hey, I want to get started right now, and what would be the first step? If I'm listening to this webinar, what would be the first thing that I need to do today to get better?
Well, hopefully you're working with somebody, a developer that can help you through that process. But the data says everything. It's no different than running a shop or a business. The data in the business usually describes how well the business is performing. If you're a general repair shop, you're going to look at your efficiencies. You're going to look at your dollars per RO. You're going to look at your dollars per bay. You're going to look at your hours per tech. The analytics on the website are the exact same thing. The data supports and says everything about it. So if you look at one of the metrics, for an example, of time on site, how long do people stay on the website? If it's under a minute, it's time to take a look at your website. If it's under 30 seconds, you've got major issues. The site's not what's called sticky enough. People are not staying long enough. If they're not looking at least a page and a half to 2.5 pages, your site is not engaging enough. They're not staying connected with it long enough. There's a number of metrics that need to be gone through and see how is my actual website performing, and there's no lie in the numbers. The numbers tell the story to everything. So that would really be the first place to start, is to start to understand the analytics and looking at the numbers and saying, where is my program not working at the moment? How much traffic am I getting? How long are people engaging? What kind of keywords am I getting activity for? And that's what gets used to determine, is it time for me to build a new website? Is it time for me to look at a different marketing plan? What do I need to change? It's all in the numbers. There's no guessing. So that's the first place to start.
Great. That's awesome. Good advice. Danny, we appreciate it very much. Thank you for joining us today. And everybody, thank you for coming today. This webinar, again, is being recorded. It'll be made available to you in the next little while. It'll be on our site on logmycalls.com. I encourage you to check out autoshopsolutions.com. They do a really good job. We've got a lot of clients who are also clients of theirs and have nothing but good things to say. So encourage you to use them. And then also, definitely, please track the efforts of your online marketing with call tracking so you can determine exactly how many phone calls your website's generating. We've seen a lot of great results with companies who really didn't know and then started to track it and make improvements. And you can't make improvements unless you know the data, as Danny just said.
Absolutely. So, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's key. So, Danny, we appreciate it. Any last words, sir, before we conclude?
No, I think I'm good, and thank you so much for having me today. And yeah, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Glad we were helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody, thank you for joining us. Thanks again, Danny. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
You too. Take care.